Guys and girls, welcome to part 2 of the old homebrew turbo ciders. Should we have a look? Should we have a little gander, see what we got? I can see the bubbles, they're starting to pick up now. 21 degrees in the house. Let's have a look. Let's unveil her. I'm just about touching 18 degrees on there. It should be about 21, so I don't know why that's saying 21. I'll work that out. But pretty much I've got my Krausen on top, and this can actually pick up and can actually come out the top. So it's good that I've left a load of headspace. If you filled it up to here, there's potential that your Krausen's going to come out the top. Pretty much all of the oxygen has been pushed out now because the yeast is eating the sugars, creating alcohol. The byproduct is carbon dioxide. Go back to part 1 if you wanted to know more about the process about that again. We're just ticking over for the minute. Another little tip. I've got this in my bedroom. Never fill it up just on these two, because you'll get a bloom, bloom. And when you're trying to sleep, it's the worst noise in the world. Overfill them. Fill them right up, because I can't actually hear that with the bubbles coming. That's where we are. I'll bring you in for a closer look. So that's the process. We're just waiting 10, 14 days, possibly more now, until these bubbles start slowing down and we know that the yeast is running out of sugar to eat. Then we can decanter it into our Chavy Coke bottles. So I'll see you for that process soon. Lovely job. Alright guys and girls, so I brought the demi-john down. She slowed right up. And what I want to do is I want to siphon some off into my hydrometer, which I'm going to talk about, get a second reading, and then I'll be able to work out what percentage my brew is. And then we're going to bottle them up into here, and I'm going to talk about bottle bombs, hydrometers. So we took a first reading, and I wrote it on there, 1.046, that was our first reading, which took us to about there. And remember in part 1 I said that this shows how buoyant, this is buoyant enough to show you how much sugar is in your brew. Once the yeast eats that sugar, the cider will become less buoyant, and we're hoping for a reading of about 1.000 or less. And then we'll work out an equation later which will give us a percentage. We'll take minus one off the other, and then we'll times it by a certain amount, and that'll give us what percentage cider we've got. If we bottled and we only got a reading of 1.020, so we went from there and then we went from there to there, it means that our yeast hasn't eaten enough of the sugars, and there's still plenty of alive yeast in there. All the yeast hasn't been used up. Which means that when I come to bottling it, and I add my sugar to this one, to carbonate, I could potentially have a bottle bomb. I'll be hoping for a reading when I take one of 1.000. We still want a little bit of yeast left in our cider alive that is still, just about there, because when I add sugar to this bottle, which I'm going to add about 5 teaspoons full because I like a really frothy cider, I'll add 5 teaspoons to this. There'll be a little bit of yeast left in suspension, which will be bottled in as well. That will be sealed. Remember, the yeast creates CO2 as it eats sugars, and I'm hoping that there's enough yeast left in there that it'll eat that sugar, create a little bit of CO2, which will carbonate my drink. So that's the process of that. So I hope that explains that. Obviously I'm going to be getting it out with some tubing and stuff, and what I'll do is I'll disinfect the bottles, suck it, and then I know that I've chucked that in, it's going through, all this is disinfectant water's going through, and we're good to go. And then it's got a little stop on there, so I can do the hydrometer reading, boom, get that, put some sugar in the bottles, boom, boom, fill them up, and we're good to go. So I'll add a little bit more flavour drops just into each bottle, just to give it that really vanilla-y flavour. Remember, go back to part 1 if you haven't seen that. There we go guys. 5 teaspoons in each, got my hydrometer ready. I just got to take the bung off my demi-john and then start sucking. Get on my knees and start sucking. Right, and then here we go. Proper cidery smell. And we got a good drop on that. This is going to be very alcoholic. We're bang on 1.000. So we'll do the equation in a minute, see what percentage we're going to come out with. What you want to do as well is you want to kind of start off relatively slow. You don't want to get too much air in your brew. You don't want to pick up too much sediment in the demijohn either. So don't like slosh it in. Try and get it on the side. I'm going to try and clear off some of this sugar, which I've got there, and then it's just a case of nice and slow, take your time with it, and at least I've got the tap there on the end so I can stop the flow. This is going to be a pretty boring process, isn't it? Well, how can I make this more entertaining? Maybe I could pick the speed up a little bit. Smells like that White Lightning Bay. Bottle of White Lightning. Ah, another thing as well is I can't smell it on this one, but I've done the test. If you get a slight eggy smell in your brews, don't worry about it. It might smell off to you. You might go, oh. Some people put a penny in there. The copper cancels out the smell somehow, some kind of reaction. But I don't know about that, so I'm not going to speak about that. Headspace wise on the bottle, got to leave a little bit of headspace, not too much. I'll bring you in for a closer look in a minute. It's looking lovely. Sometimes with the yeasts that you use as well, that can change the colour slightly as well. Sometimes I've had these really yellow or really like a pale colour as well. With different yeasts somehow, I don't know how that's happened, but these are going to be sitting until the pressure's built up in them. A couple of weeks. The longest I've left is, I've got some year-old ciders and they still taste absolutely fine. What I would say, they're now talking about degradation in the plastic. I'm still good on the demijohn, I didn't even check that. I think we're just going to be good. I'm going to slow it down a bit. I will be switching to glass Grolsch bottles because I bought my dad some and I thought they were absolutely amazing. And it is nice to do it properly, innit? But you know, to get you started on these bottles, I've been drinking out of these for a little while, and you know, I didn't see any problem with it. But yeah, degradation in the plastics. And I'm also going to get myself a cup because I've got a little bit left. A snifter of some of this. I've got a full cup here, guys. Right, that'll do for that. Oh, I don't know what I'm gauging it at really. I'm putting a whole pipette in, it's probably way too much, but I do love the taste of it. We'll see when it comes to cracking it open, because we're going to crack it open in this episode as well. We'll see if that was a bad idea or adding way too much vanilla. Oh, I can't wait. I've drunk all of my other reserves of vanilla Gorilla, so this is good. I need to do another couple of batches up. Obviously, if they start like expanding out, you cold crash them. If you fear a bottle bomb and you think, whoa, there's too much pressure there and I've messed it up, just chuck it in the fridge, cold crash it. That'll kill the yeast off, and then you won't get any more pressure. We're going to work out the percentage. 1.046 was our first reading, minus 1.002 gives us 0.044. Every time we times it by 131.25. So we'll times that by that, times 131.25 equals 5.7%. So I could have let it brew out a little bit longer and got a 6%er. It's quite lively. I'm going to have to make sure that they don't give me bottle bombs. 1.002, you know, it's not below that 1000 that I like, but so I might have been a bit early on it. But I've got a 5.7. There'll be a little bit more alcohol created in there, so it's going to be about a 5.8%er. And the date today is, it hasn't even been that long, 29th of March. There's my two bottles. Right, what was when did I brew it out? 20th. It's only been a week and a half, 9 days, and I've got that. So, as I say, I could have left it a bit longer, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep them in the warm for like a day or two, just to see what happens with the pressure. Then I'm going to put them just in my outhouse, It's starting to warm up now, but I'll put them in there. I'm just going to leave them for a few weeks. Keep checking them, making sure I'm not getting bottle bombs. I'll catch up with you. Don't know, about 3, 4, 5 weeks. See when I can get through the first one. From the initial taste test, it's tasting absolutely lovely. There we go, guys. So they're all done. Next time I see you, I'll be cracking one of them. That'll be in a couple of weeks' time. So I cannot wait. Probably be at a race night actually, of my dad's watching the old greyhounds.